my 1976 Honda CB400f. I've owned this bike for about 8 years and I've never replaced the chain. And it's got this old style sprocket on here. So I'm thinking it's at least, the sprocket itself is probably nearly 40 years old. I'm a novice, and if you're watching this video, you probably are too, trying to get some clues as to whether or not you can replace the chain. So follow along, and if I can do it, you can do it. Probably should have saved that. I need it someday. Well, now, let me get those out. Go. Next, sprocket. Okay. Looks like we're gonna have to take the rear wheel off. Is that 7/8? Loosen that up. And I think the brake cable's on the other side. Alright, I think just take this nut off, and if you put a little pressure on the brake, it'll come. You can do it by hand. Make sure not to lose any of these pieces. Hey, look at that. Rear tire's off. That was simple. Took 3 minutes. Okay, let's see. He's stuck on. Oh, there's something else over there. This thing. It just keeps the brake from spinning. We're going to see if we can take this off without having to remove that, just for the sake of not removing things. So, let's get a socket on these things and just see if we can pop that sucker off. Okay, so these are 14mm nuts, and they're pretty tight. Alright, now looks like we're going to have to take this off. Ooh, there's this big C-clamp thing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that off. What is that? I don't know. Well, we'll see when we get in there. And I managed to just pry this off with a screwdriver, more or less. And there's a big washer underneath here. And then this comes off. These are interesting. These aren't really bolted into anything. These are just studs. Okay, so this is the new one. We're going to slip this on here. And put our washer on. And somehow I got to get this back on, which might be easier said than done. I don't have the right tool for that. Well, despite heroic efforts and a lot of tools, I wasn't able to get this thing back on here again. And it being Easter Sunday, there's nowhere I can buy a tool. So we're going to just let this thing sit here for right now, and we'll address the front sprocket. So I'm guessing front sprocket obviously lives back here. I'm going to have to take this cover off, which actually would be a good time to clean some of this gunk off of it. Let's just take some of these screws out, and then I probably have to take this off. We'll see where that gets us. Sure, got a good bit in here. I should say upon closer inspection there are two little dimples. There's a dimple there and a dimple on the shaft so that you can line these up again. Put a little grease on that, makes it easier to go on. Just work that off. Move this out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got all the screws off. Gentle prying. There we go. Sweet. I clean this off. This has been bugging me for a long time. The sprocket, which doesn't look horrible, but considering it's 40 years old. Oil pressure switch, starter motor obviously. This must be the oil pump. And then just like a whole lot of crap stuff in here. Good time to clean all that out. So we'll do some cleaning. I'm going to take these two nuts off. It looks like those will be easy. Okay, well, now I'm going to want to have it in gear. Gently, gently.
What you doing?
Well, this should just come off now. Let's see. Oh, it's got kind of a little locking thing on it, so if I turn it, I can take it off.
What is it?
It's the front sprocket. Ah! Is it going to get by there? I guess it will. There. Front sprocket. Not in horrible condition. What is the sprocket? What do you think a sprocket is? What do you think?
Is it more of the gear chain?
Yeah, well, it's what drives a chain. Ah, there's a new one. Yeah, it doesn't look so worn actually. This thing's probably been on there for 40 years.
Wow.
Well, alright, so now I gotta clean all this out. Okay, tap that on there. Now, we have our little locking thing, which is gonna go on offset and then turn into place, and put these two 10mm bolts back in. Alright, even though I have this fancy tool, what I'm finding is that if you put the pins into the holes, still I can't get it apart enough, but if I put them just in between here, I should be able to spread it enough to get it over that edge. There we go. And now that ring is seated in there. I've got these on tight. The other thing you're going to want to do is reset the adjustment thing so that this is pushed on both sides all the way back, and then when you get your chain on, you can tighten this up a little bit to bring the chain tight. This is the chain I ordered off of Amazon. It's a O-ring chain. It's black, and this one is a 530. I'm going to remind you again, I've never done this before. Here's what I'm finding out from the instructions. I'm going to install this pin now, and I need to set up the tool so it looks like this. We've got our anvil, and where it says press, we've got our P, and it just fits into this end here, and it says to apply grease to these pins, and that came with the chain, so I'll grease those up, and then you press it into the chain. Should be pretty straightforward. Lubed up these pins. Alright, and we got our little O-rings. Go on there. And let's see, I think we're going to push this pin in. We're going to put this in from the back side here. I didn't have to, the chain is the right length, I guess, when it comes out of here. So you have to get your adjustment screws turned all the way back. And yeah, and it'll just barely fit, which is good. So it'll be tight. Okay. And that just goes right in there. That was simple. I don't need to press anything, really. Okay. O-ring on here. O-ring on this side. Plate on, and it's painted black on one side and it's not on the other side. Well, that's simple. I can just push that on. Not all the way. Okay. Now we're going to use our tool, and what it says is position the side plate between the master link pins and the anvil block and finger tighten the body bolt until the side plate is held firmly in position. These pins are going to go in that indent there. So we're going to just hold that in place. Now we're going to use a 17mm wrench and lightly tighten the body bolt until the side plate is pressed into the master link. Okay. Got my leverage down here now. So I can tighten this. It says, be careful, caution. Be careful to only press the side plate on far enough to allow for proper riveting of the chain. Excessive pressing will cause the chain to bind and damage the O-rings, leading to chain failure. Okay, well, this moves nice and freely now. I think it's on there, so I'm going to take this off, and then we have to rivet it. Okay, to set this tool up for riveting, you're going to want to, where it says rivet, put the R next to rivet. So it's like that. That gives this dimple end for the back, and then you're going to put, then this piece is the riveting tool. It's got a little ball on the end that's going to slip over the end of your bolt here, and then that little ball slips into the end of the chain link right here. You can see I've riveted one. Let's see, some harsh shadows here. You can see how one side, this one, is flared out and this one isn't. Now, there's all sorts of warnings. Make sure you do it to the proper specifications. Do look, and each chain's different. I couldn't find any specifications for this Volar chain. The videos on YouTube use different tools, and so I think the key is to do it enough, but not too far. And I just kept checking to make sure it wasn't binding up. Can't promise you that it's flared out enough. If you have any comments or rules of thumb or some ideas for the rest of the people watching this video, it'd be a constructive comment if you want to leave that as to how you know when you've done it enough. I'm going to stop there. Now I'm going to do this one. I'll show you how it's done. So you're going to put that around the back, screw this in so that ball goes into the dimple, slowly tighten it up, keep checking like this to make sure it's not binding up, kind of squeeze them together here, and when you get far enough, and I'm not going to tell you how far that is because I just don't know, you should look that up yourself, then you're done. Okay, and that's basically it. Adjust your chain in the normal manner. Put cover back on, and make sure all your bolts are tight. You got your brakes hooked up, and we'll take it for a spin and see how it goes. So after a quick ride, I gotta say it's much nicer. I think my old chain had gotten pretty old and noisy. New chain is much better. So is this something that a novice should do? Maybe. Keep in mind though, I had to buy that expensive tool, that chain tool, which was about 70 bucks. And then I had to buy the circle clip extractor, which is another 20, 22. So I had some cost bound up there in tools. And then there's that whole kind of intimidating about, you know, the riveting should only be done by a qualified professional. And if you're novice, obviously you're not a qualified professional. So, you know, was it hard to do? No, not at all. But like I said, the tool, a little bit intimidating. I feel better if maybe a few people commented on whether or not the riveting I did looked to be proper or not. I know it's not too tight because I didn't crush it, but did I do it far enough? I don't know. Well, good luck.